So today's question is, my ex-spouse is living with someone. Can I stop paying the alimony? Interesting question. I'm Tom Marks with the Marks Law Firm in Orlando, Florida, and welcome to the Healthy Family Law Attorney. So there is a statute in Florida, 61.14, that talks about cohabitation. And it has to be more than just living together. It has to be living in a permanent place of abode in a financially supportive relationship. So there are a number of factors in the statute that the court will consider in determining whether this is a financially supportive relationship. So this is an interesting statute that has an interesting history to it. Let me just tell you briefly. So it comes out of a case where the ex-wife was getting remarried, and she contacted her former husband and said, "Hey, I'm getting remarried. I know the alimony is going to disappear, but can we renegotiate the child support?" And he said, "No, absolutely not." So she went out to, I think it was Las Vegas, got married in a ceremony to her new husband, but they never signed the marriage license. So they were not technically legally married. So she was not technically, I guess, legally remarried. And so they held themselves out as husband and wife. They commingled all their assets. They owned a home together. And so the ex-husband filed a supplemental petition to modify, to terminate the alimony. And the court said there's no statute on point. She's not remarried legally, so it doesn't matter that she's cohabitating. So one of our local representatives in Central Florida presented a bill to the legislature, which became the cohabitation statute because of that very issue, that now would allow spouses to either terminate or reduce the alimony in situations like that, where there was cohabitation clearly in a financially supportive relationship. So it's interesting because some of the district courts say that if there's cohabitation, financially supportive, it's proved, then the alimony terminates. And some of the district courts say, well, no, if the relationship is proven financially supportive, we're only going to reduce the alimony by the amount of support paid by the cohabitant. Okay. So if your ex is cohabitating, living with somebody, and you think it's in a financially supportive relationship, then you want to look at the statute. And so the statute has a number of factors. Are they commingling their assets together? Is the cohabitant providing valuable services in the terms of, can be mowing the yard, doing the pool, doing repairs around the house, things that would the ex-spouse would have otherwise had to pay to have done? Have they jointly titled property together? Has the cohabitant created something, an asset of value to enhance the assets of the ex-spouse? A lot of factors like that. It can even be, does the cohabitant provide financial support to the ex-spouse's minor children? So how do you prove they're actually living together and the cohabitant's not just spending the nights occasionally and whatever? So there are what's known as some indicia of living together. So has the cohabitant changed his or her driver's license to the address of the home you're alleging he's cohabitating in with the ex-spouse? Is the mail being delivered to the cohabitant there? Have they changed their voter registration card to that address? Are any of the utilities in the cohabitant's name? things like that that would clearly establish that they are both living in that residence together. So once you've proven that kind of financial interdependence, there's a financially supportive relationship, they're actually living together in the same permanent place of abode, you file a supplemental petition to modify the alimony. And you can allege in the alternative, one, to reduce it, or two, to terminate the alimony, depending on the circumstances and what the evidence shows. I will say that in a number of cases that I've been involved in this area of law, what often happens is the cohabitant, once the lawsuit is filed, moves out. And they say, oh, well, I was never really living there anyway, and I was really never providing any financial support. And so then the decision is, do we proceed with the case and try to prove that they were engaged in that kind of financially supportive relationship and he's just temporarily moved out? And then you have some evidentiary issues there, and it would have to prove that. Lastly, I think it does matter the type of alimony, whether it's permanent, periodic, durational, bridge the gap, lump sum alimony, or rehabilitative. Because if it's a permanent, periodic alimony situation that could go on for the next 10, 15 years or more, the court's probably going to be more reluctant to terminate the alimony, and maybe more likely will reduce the alimony substantially, because if the supportive relationship, they're just living together, cohabitating, doesn't last, which most don't, then the spouse or ex-spouse could then go back to court to increase the alimony again, the amount, because it was such a long-term type of alimony. And the court might consider inequitable or unjust to terminate a long-term alimony that based on a short-term relationship. Whereas if it's a shorter-term alimony, like bridge the gap, it can't be more than 2 years anyway, I could see a court much more likely going ahead and terminating it. A rehabilitative plan where the ex-spouse is back in school to finish a program, to be able to be self-supporting. Those types of alimony awards are maybe typically 2 to 5 years. So I think the court is more likely to simply reduce the alimony there rather than terminate it, so that ex-spouse can finish their rehabilitative alimony plan. Okay, so that's the skinny on whether you can't just stop paying alimony because your ex is cohabitating. You got to file a supplemental petition, and you got to prove those facts, that they're actually cohabitating in a permanent place of abode, and that they are living in a financially supportive relationship. Okay, I hope this helps today. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.